The following program presents principles designed to promote good health and is not intended to take the place of personalized professional care. The opinions and ideas expressed are those of the speaker. Viewers are encouraged to draw their own conclusions about the information presented.
Hello and welcome to Health for a Lifetime. I'm your host, Don McIntosh, and today we're delighted to have Dr. Bernell Baldwin with us. You're a neurophysiologist, is that right?
Correct.
And what does that mean?
That means, how does the brain work?
All right, you know how that works.
To quite a degree.
Okay, good. Well, we're delighted to have you here today, and we're going to be talking about soy.
Yes.
I understand that soybeans, I think that's what we call them here at least.
Yes.
Soybeans are quite a cash crop.
Oh, yes. Number 2 in the United States.
Are all over the place. Well, why would a brain scientist need to talk about soy?
Because we're looking for answers instead of just problems.
So there's something to soybeans beside money.
Oh, yes. A lot in soy besides money. DuPont has discovered soy.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
They're putting millions of bucks into exploiting the nutritional potential of soy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what good is there in soy for our lives? What?
Excellent question.
Okay.
Excellent question. Number 1, my biochemistry teacher at George Washington University, Dr. Treadwell, won $250,000 to find a cholesterol blocking agent.
Okay.
And he went all the way around the molecule with, in Germanic fashion, with methyl, ethyl, propyl, isopropyl groups all around the molecule. And he found some that really worked. But he said, students, the best blocking agents we've been able to find in all our years of research are already available in soy and whole wheat.
Is that right?
Right.
So he took the whole molecule, he studied the structure, and he said, what would fit in there to block it?
Right.
And he said the best thing is wheat and soy.
Soy. I've already got it.
So anybody that gets teased about eating a soy burger, they know they know something now.
No better. So soy has got plant sterols in them. And these plant sterols keep cholesterol from getting into the blood. And it works something like this. Cholesterol comes knocking in the ileum, sort of like this. It knocks, and it says, may I come into your arteries? I'd like to visit your coronaries.
The cholesterol is saying this.
Yes.
Okay.
And the body replies, sir, soy has been here first. The men's room is to your left. And on a high-fiber diet, this cholesterol is soaked up with the fiber, and it goes bye-bye forever.
That's probably the most inventive depiction of soy I've ever heard. What else does soy have for us besides saying goodbye to cholesterol?
Soy has got a super combination of amino acids.
Okay. And what does that mean?
Plenty. In the old days, the more lysine a food had in it, the better it was. Because look, the animals grow faster on very high lysine.
Okay.
And then they found out, after years of promoting this concept, and after pushing this on the developing third world, all of a sudden they find out, oops, the faster they grow, the sooner they die.
Mm.
Now we know, thanks to the research of Dr. Albert Sanchez, a U.S. UCLA trained amino acid chemist, he discovered and published years ago that arginine found in soy and in other vegetable protein sources. This arginine will go into your body and it will liberate a special blood vessel opener, a vasodilator. So arginine will liberate nitric oxide, and this will go in and it will open the brain in your computers, in your heart, and in your kidneys for blood pressure control. So soy is better than meat for the brain, for the heart, and for the kidneys.
So in other words, the arginine is what causes things to dilate, and that's what's found in soy. It's really healthy for us, but that lysine is not as good for us. It causes us to grow too fast, and it causes heart disease, all those different types of things.
Yes. Now here's some proof of this.
Okay.
If you take rabbits and give them casein from cow's milk, they will get atherosclerosis. If you give them extra arginine, you stop this. So that the balance of the amino acids is very essential. And the Sanchez and Willard, Dr. Willard at Loma Linda, has collaborated with Sanchez. And they've published on this. And Krzyzewski in Washington a few weeks ago, I heard him lecture on this in person. And he is very clear that we want arginine up and lysine moderate for the well-being of society.
Is that what he said? The well-being of society. Let me ask you this question then. Is arginine then available in any other place aside from soy, which of course you said?
Almonds, I've got it.
Almonds and what else?
And walnuts.
Almonds and walnuts and soy.
And legumes and also garbanzos and seeds have also got
love
this.
You're making me hungry.
So so we're dealing with principles, not just, we aren't trying to sell a product.
All right, any other active ingredients in soy that really help us?
Yes, we're just getting started. You've got phytochemicals in soy, like genistein.
Genistein, explain what that does.
Genistein, it keeps your DNA cool. So that under the microscope, if you take a cancer cell from a lady who's dying with cancer of the breast, 1 out of 8 are going to get this. And in a non-smoking lady in the Western world, cancer of the breast is the commonest cancer that they get. That, and it's real close to cancer of the bowel. All right.
So you take out a cell.
Take out a cell, put it under a microscope, and if you put genistein around it, it restrains the wild growth of cancer.
Wow. So in other words, if you take soy, it would stop breast cancer.
Let's say restrain it.
Restrain it.
Yes. And it could prevent it before it ever happened. This is why classical Japanese women are 4 times better than Americans for cancer of the breast.
They don't get it as much.
Yes, right. 4 times better. And after the menopause, 8 to 10 times better.
So they eat a lot of soy in Japan, I
20 grams of soy a day, average, in classical Japan.
Well, this genistein, am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
Can you just buy that by itself?
Certainly.
Is it as good for you?
Entrepreneurs, no. Because the entrepreneurs don't know the rest of the story.
Well, what's the rest of the story?
There are other phytochemicals in soy, like daidzein, and fibers, and saponin, and trypsin inhibitors, and various other things that the entrepreneurs aren't on to. So the bottom line on that is very simple. Whole food for whole people.
That's good. Whole food for whole people. So genistein, does it occur anywhere else besides soy?
Oh, yes.
Where else?
Yes. You can get it in some of the legumes, but in the latest issue of the Journal of Health and Healing, we very carefully condensed 2 pages of the best sources known in the entire world, and you can get this from University of Iowa on your computer. You can get 20 pages of information direct measurements of genistein in all known foods. And you'll find that soy is way ahead of any other source known in the world.
Is anyone ever allergic to soy?
Of course. You can be allergic to anything.
Okay, and
here's the way to do it. It's very simple.
Okay.
Stick the soy down the gullet of the baby when the baby is 2 months old.
Soy formula?
Yes, right, and soybeans. Because, you know, the earlier the better is the philosophy.
Right?
Dead eye wrong. Dead eye wrong. Whereas the way to prevent allergies is to give the soy to mother, see, and give this child breastfeeding as long as possible, like, you know, at least a half a year, and preferably even longer. And then the mother's immune system will be transferred to quite a degree to the infant. And you'll have less colic, less midnight troubles, less 2 a.m. troubles, and better sleep for mother and daddy, better sleep for the child, and a lot better immune architecture than if you stick cheap orange juice with peel oil in it and wheat and fruits and vegetables and pureed pork liver and all this other stuff that they stick to these babies when they're too young.
And even soy milk's not good for them at that age.
It'd be better, mother's milk would be better, but soy milk would be way ahead of cow's milk. Cow's milk is ideal food for a baby cow.
Oh, that's profound. But I think maybe sometimes we forget that, don't we?
Yes, this is easy to do.
All right, so let's say that we are allergic to soy.
Yes.
And we can't get the genistein, we can't get the arginine that's there. We know there are some other sources, but what are, you've said there's some other sources for genistein. What's this number 2 best source? Or 3 or 4 or 5?
Red clover.
Red clover. Now, how often do we, where do we get that? I can't.
Red clover grows in the meadow.
Yeah, I understand that. But I mean, how often do we eat red clover?
Not very often, but it comes in a tea.
Okay.
Now, this is a little fun, but 10 years ago, red clover top tea was considered to be, may I put on academic garb?
Sure.
Red clover, this is a placebo preparation for 19th century older ladies.
Is that what they said?
10 years ago.
So it's a happy pill. It doesn't really do anything.
It doesn't do anything. Now we know that red clover top tea liberates genistein into the body, so it helps prevent cancer of the breast in ladies.
It liberates the genistein that occurs in it?
Yes.
And so it does occur in red clover.
Now to be technical,
okay,
it's a methoxy derivative. But see, there's a little side chain on there, methoxy.
Okay.
And in the body, this goes off, and the genistein goes in the blood.
I see.
And not only, it's not just women, it's men. Now look, take Japan. Cancer of the prostate is the commonest cancer outside of skin that men get. In Japan, on the soy program, you may have 3 spots of cancer in the prostate, but none of them are doing anything. None of them are going anywhere. Why? Soy. Keeps the lid on cancer.
Someone told me that recently I was talking to Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, Cleveland Clinic, and he told me that in the 1950s, I think it was, or a little bit before that, might have been the statistic he shared, there was only 18 cases of prostate surgery. And then he said now that the diet has been westernized, it has really increased.
It's out of sight. Out of sight.
It's out of sight now. And the reason for that you're suggesting is because they've moved maybe away from soy and more towards a Western diet, or what?
Overfeeding of the wrong stuff. This will do that.
What about the protein in soy? Is it as good as the protein we get in meat or vegetables? It's better. Why?
Because it's got a better amino acid balance. and you get less atherosclerosis on this balance. Now, it's true. Look.
What do you mean by the amino acid balance?
Oh, well, it needs to have enough of all the essential vitamins, all the essential amino acids, and it's got to have a balance of those essentials so that you have maximum immune power.
The amino acids, let me just help, maybe someone has
Yes.
not taken
Sure.
chemistry or different things. Amino acids are sort of like the A, B, C, D, the alphabet of
Sure.
protein, right?
The brick in the walls of life.
All right, so if you have all those letters in the alphabet, you can spell all the words you need, but if you
Yes.
don't, you can't.
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Sure. No, we aren't going to sit here and say that soy is a silver bullet. No, we're saying that soy is an excellent component of a good, wise nutritional program.
We've been talking to Dr. Bernal Baldwin. We're talking about soy protein, soy products. When we come back, I'm going to ask him how to tame tofu, whether or not it's good for us, and we're going to look at some practical applications to what we've been learning. Hope that you can join us.
Have you found yourself wishing that you could shed a few pounds? Have you been on a diet for most of your life, but not found anything that will really keep the weight off? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, then we have a solution for you that works. Dr. Hans Deal and Dr. Eileen Ludington have written a marvelous booklet called Reversing Obesity Naturally, and we'd like to send it to you free of charge. Here's a medically sound approach successfully used by thousands who were able to eat more and lose weight permanently without feeling guilty or hungry through lifestyle medicine. Dr. Deal and Dr. Ludington have been featured on 3ABM, and in this booklet, they present a sensible approach to eating, nutrition, and lifestyle changes that can help you prevent heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer. Call or write today for your free copy of Reversing Obesity Naturally, and you could be on your way to a healthier, happier you. It's absolutely free of charge, so call or write today.
Welcome back. We've been talking with Dr. Bernal Baldwin, and we've been talking about soy. Dr. Baldwin is a neurophysiologist, a brain scientist, and yet we're talking about soy, and it's been interesting to understand what soy has for us. When we ended our discussion, we were looking at all the different positive things we could get from soy, how it could help us not have breast cancer,
Yes.
how it could help us avoid having heart disease, these different things with the arginine and all these different things. What about the fat content of soy? I've heard someone say that soy is 52% fat.
Well, of course, this will vary on the variety. And that famous university, University of Illinois, has 1,600 cultivars of soy.
What's a cultivar?
Type, a variety,
Okay.
a subvariety.
All right.
All right. Thanks for that question. So there's a lot of different kinds of soy. But here's the good news in fat and soy. The fat in soy is so well balanced and so constructive that you get omega-3 fat to help all the membranes of the body.
Okay.
So that you don't need to eat dead fish when you use soy. Another neat thing about the fat of soy is this. There's an essential fat called linoleic acid that's very well represented in soy fat.
So what I hear you saying is a little different than I've heard others say. You know, someone like a Dean Ornish or someone like this would say 10% fat at the max, but you're saying there's a difference among fats. There are some fats that you need to have.
Essential.
Essential fats.
Yes. And another reason why at Wildwood Lifestyle Center and Hospital, why we give our heart patients soy and also olives and also almonds and walnuts in moderation is because we want to prevent LDL from shrinking and getting so small and dense that it will go into the artery and kill the patient.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that Dr. Superco at the Heart Lab at Berkeley, he and his colleagues have got very clear evidence that if the fat is too low, the LDL becomes abnormal. And so by giving some olives and giving some soy, whole soy, and by giving a moderate amount of these nuts, we keep the LDL lighter and a little larger so that it can't penetrate into the arteries. Good news.
So the LDL, just to see if I understand this, LDL is a part of total cholesterol. HDL is another part of it. Is that what you're talking about?
It's a packaging.
Packaging?
Yes. I put it this way. LDL is a grease truck, and it floats around in the blood, unloading grease in arteries.
Where it's needed.
Yes, and also where you don't want it.
That's right.
Whereas HDL is a pickup truck, and it goes all over the body, heart, brain, kidneys, everywhere, and it picks up this cholesterol and takes it down to the liver and dumps it there, and then the liver breaks this cholesterol apart and makes a detergent out of it.
Okay. So in other words, when we eat soy, our LDL, the fat in soy, makes the LDL not, so it's not an unusual shape if it's decreasing, because it can lodge more efficiently.
It helps the body.
The truck gets stuck, so to speak, if it's not the right kind of fat.
Yeah, that's just true. So another thing about the fat of soy, there are fats in soy that help the brain fight Alzheimer's disease and fight dementia and fight, have you heard of mediocrity? Mediocrity is quite a problem in the American educational scene. Quite a problem. And even politicians can become mediocre to such an extent that it's very difficult to decide, who do we vote for? Eenie, Miney, or Mo? You see, well, now soy will help some of these problems, and if you've been on a real good diet, spiritually, intellectually, and physically, and if you're really with it, then you'll be creative instead of conventional.
So soy can help us be creative instead of conventional. It can be the building block for a good educational system and different things. Sounds like soy is the answer. What about tofu?
Tofu. Easy to use, very popular, and it's highly used in Asia. But, now, are you familiar with this little approach? The ice is getting thinner.
I'm familiar with that statement, yes.
Yes. Okay, here goes. The ice is getting thinner. At the latest soy meetings, international soy meetings in Washington, data was presented from Hawaii, 4,000 Asiatics. And here's the scoop. Elderly Asiatics who ate the most tofu had a problem with dementia.
Ooh, that doesn't sound good.
No, it's not good. But as of today, we do not know whether this was a cultural problem, an environmental problem, or a nutritional problem.
So we don't have enough data to know if it was the soy or
something else.
What? It could have been something else. We don't know.
But it's like this. Tofu is a refined product.
Processed food.
Yeah. And you don't get all of the goodies that are in the whole soy. But my wife has no problem with that. Dr. Marjorie, she gets these soybeans at the store and checks them out for rocks in the bright light, soaks them at room temperature for about 2 days, and then whiz the daylights out of them. And she puts these in a baking dish and makes a soy souffle. See? And it rises up, and you get all the lecithin for the brain. You get all the fiber for the bowels. You get the cholesterol blocking agents. You get all the vitamins, all the minerals, everything in the whole soy.
So you're making your own sort of total tofu instead of processed tofu.
Got it? Yes.
So let me get that recipe again. You take it, you soak it for 2 days.
Whiz the daylights out.
Do you whiz the daylights out of it, so to speak, before you soak it? Or
no,
right
after.
That would be hard to do, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And then
stick it in a baking sheet.
A baking sheet, and you put the baking sheet where? In the
oven.
In the oven.
Yes,
and
bake it.
And you bake it for how long?
Ask the cook.
Okay, what about isolated soy proteins?
Excellent for profits, but not the greatest for the person.
Okay, so in other words, once you tear it apart, you've torn it apart.
You lose its value. Now, we've got data on this in the latest Journal of Health and Healing. If you take alcohol-extracted soy protein, the genistein is gone. So much of the soy protein that is in the market today is not worth eating.
So the genistein that helps us avoid breast cancer and those different types of things.
Is gone.
Let me ask you a couple...
Pardon.
Oh,
but
go
the
ahead.
water-extracted soy has got it.
Water extracted.
Yeah. So some soy protein is just dandy, whereas others is not worth eating.
Will soy help prevent heart disease?
Certainly, because it helps keep down cholesterol.
What about menopause?
It modifies menopause, reducing hot flashes and assisting the transition from midlife to wisdom.
So some people would be very interested in that effect, wouldn't they?
They certainly would.
Okay, what about cancer? We've already talked about it. Will it help prevent it?
Yes, it helps prevent cancer, and it helps slow down cancer, and it helps manage cancer. And as you were saying in one of the breaks, soy is now being considered in therapy, not just prevention, also therapy.
I have an interesting question. I don't know. I heard someone make a presentation once that soy is excellent for treating burns.
Don't know a thing about it.
Okay.
And cannot may say a word of horse sense about it.
How can we get more soy in our diet?
Well, it's very simple. We need to use soy milk. Dr. Harry Miller popularized soy, and he brought it to the United States, and he got some real momentum on this. You get 10 milligrams of isoflavones in a glass of ordinary soy milk.
So soy milk is the answer to immediately increase it to the level of, what were we shooting for?
20 to 40 milligrams a day.
20 to 40 milligrams a day.
Of isoflavones. And this is a practical way to do this. And soy products. So instead of giving byproduct surplus animal protein and fat to our high school students, what we need to do is to give them something better.
Something better. We've been talking to Dr. Bernal Baldwin. We've been talking about the Soy Advantage. If you want to avoid heart disease, if you want your blood vessels to open up and dilate, and if you would like to avoid cancer, many different benefits from soy. This is something you need to get in your diet. Drink that soy milk and have health that lasts for a lifetime.